The abandonment flip is something that most fearful avoidants go through when they're on their healing journey, but they can't really name it. It doesn't really have a name yet, and so we are going to talk about it. I am Pauline Zimmer. I am an expert on healing the fearful avoidant attachment style. I've helped over 3,000 people heal this attachment style in the last 7 years, and I'm so happy you are here because the abandonment flip didn't have a name up till now. And it is something that you probably have encountered or will encounter when you are healing the fearful avoidant attachment style. I remember so well when I was healing, or when I was in the crash state of my fearful avoidant attachment style, that this was one of the most surprising and confusing, disorienting things that happened. I had such intense doubts about my partner. I had such intense doubts about my feelings, whether I loved him enough, whether we were compatible, whether I was just leading him on, knowing that I had to break up and just fooling myself. These doubts were 24/7. And so logically, you would say, I didn't really love him that much, maybe, or um, when we would break up, it wouldn't really be that big of a deal because I wasn't fully committed anyway. And yet, when I started healing, what happened quite all of a sudden was that I was so afraid that he would abandon me. So this was into my healing journey, I think 1 or 2 years into my healing journey. And I had had doubts for 2 to 3 years by that point. And those doubts really gave me the feeling like I'm just a very cold bitch and I don't love him, and there's so much wrong with me. Um and or it's this relationship and it would actually be better if we just broke up. And then all of a sudden, all of that flipped to, oh my goodness, I don't want him to leave me. I don't want him to go. I was so afraid of him rejecting me, abandoning me, leaving me, dying, just any way in which I would lose him. Um, Everything flipped, completely flipped, and I did not understand what was happening because I had had all these doubts. So why all of a sudden I had this intense fear of him not being in my life anymore? Whereas in the years prior, it almost felt like it would be a relief if he would break up with me. I had had those doubts, like if he would just break up with me, I didn't have to make that choice. Now it's all very crystal clear to me what was happening, but back then it was so incredibly confusing. And I remember when I started with my Dutch program. I am Dutch. I've had a Dutch program healing this attachment style um, for a long time, for over 7 years. And I think it was after about 800 people had gone through that program that I started seeing this pattern so obviously with pretty much all of them. I was like, this is a thing that happens on pretty much every healing journey for the fearful avoidant. And so I started calling it the abandonment flip, and the people going through the program immediately understood what I was talking about because it was just it really felt like a flip. It just flipped it all on its head. And so what happens? And I don't only base that on me. I base that also on the experience with a lot of other fearful avoidants. Doubt are a protection mechanism. I know still to this day there are not a lot of people that see it in that way, but they are. When you are absolutely sure that you will be abandoned, that you will be rejected in the future, that that is inevitable, and your fear brain is absolutely sure that that will happen, you start protecting yourself. And when there's not really something wrong in the relationship, like the relationship is good, what would be the most brilliant way to start protecting yourself? Doubting whether you love them enough, making them less in your head, just to cushion the blow when they would leave, when they would abandon you. It makes so much sense if you really understand the fear brain. because it's just trying to protect you from future pain. And so those doubts, for a large part, were to protect me from the inevitability that he would leave, and that would hurt me. And so when I would suppress my feelings and make me like him less in some way, then my fear brain reasoned that that would help me, that that would protect me, um, and that him leaving then wouldn't be that big of a deal. I think it still would have been a big deal, even if I would have been deeply in my doubt. Um, but it explains why, when you start healing, you kind of take that layer of protection off in a way, and then you feel the pain that's underneath that, which is that fear of abandonment. And this is also where the fearful avoidant attachment style differs so much from the anxious preoccupied. The anxious preoccupied usually, this is not black and white, but usually feels that fear of abandonment. Like mostly feels that fear of abandonment. And the fearful avoidant, unhealed, will cover that up with doubts, with making their partner less attractive in many ways in their head. So it's a very different way of dealing with the same fear. The anxious preoccupied will kind of clamp and do anything not to be abandoned, and the fearful avoidant is just so sure that he or she will be abandoned that they will just protect themselves by um, suppressing their feelings and kind of almost adjusting everything inside of themselves to not be as hurt by that. So the anxious preoccupied still has this belief that if they were just perfect enough, the other person wouldn't leave. And the fearful avoidant is just completely sure that the other person will leave. They will figure out that the fearful avoidant is just not a good person or fundamentally flawed, and so they will be rejected and abandoned. So doubts are a protection mechanism, and it covers up the fear of abandonment. And that's why this is a flip. When you start healing, all of a sudden that fear just pops up. You're like, wait, I thought I was healing. What is happening? This is not comfortable at all. It's not, but you really are healing. You're going in the right direction, because now you're allowing yourself to actually be vulnerable. And that is also something that a lot of fearful avoidants struggle with, being vulnerable. And so feeling that fear of abandonment is actually a good thing, and it is just a phase that you're going through. It just requires different things to heal that from the fearful avoidant perspective. um, and you will get to a point where you're much more stable, and that uncomfortable feeling definitely won't last, but it is a very disorienting phase in the healing journey. And so I thought it would be valuable for you to actually know what it's called, or what I've started calling it and have been calling it for years now, which is the abandonment flip. And um, it is something that it has started to become kind of like a running gag in my Dutch programs, especially where people say, oh, well, that's not going to happen to me. And then obviously it is going to happen. But it is a very powerful moment in the healing journey, because you know actually that you're going in the right direction. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you the name for it, so that when you encounter it, you actually know what's happening, and you know that you're going in the right direction, and um, you're not doing anything wrong. You're not going in the wrong direction. So it's just a phase in the healing journey, and it is something that you can heal to, that fear of abandonment, and get to a place where you're actually comfortable and believe that your partner will be there for you and will stay, which then allows you to actually allow love in, and allow yourself to feel love, because that fear of abandonment can feel very strong, but in that phase you're probably also still kind of suppressing your love, because you're just so afraid that when you completely surrender to your partner or to the relationship, that that will be taken away, or that will end. So it's like a milestone on your healing journey. The abandonment flip. Let me know what you think of this, whether you recognize it, whether you're still in the very much in the doubt phase, which, by the way, looking back on it, for me, it definitely was relationship OCD, and a lot of fearful avoidance struggle with relationship OCD. Not all of fearful avoidance struggle with relationship OCD, but my hypothesis is that people with relationship OCD pretty much always have the fearful avoidant attachment style. Um, Pretty dominantly. So doubts are a protective mechanism, and it could stem from relationship OCD. But my hypothesis is that beneath relationship OCD is the fearful avoidant attachment style. I hope this was valuable to you. Let me know in the comments below whether this rings a bell, and you've encountered it, or you're still in your doubts phase, and this will be helpful going forward. We've created a resource page, by the way, and I'm pretty excited about that because we have had these wonderful resources, free, completely free resources on healing the fearful avoidant attachment style faster, easier, more thoroughly, and things like healing cards that can really help you. And now they're just all gathered in one beautiful page, and you can choose which one you want. And I'm just so happy to give that to you, that you can just browse through and be like, oh, this is what I want right now. So be sure to check that out. It will be somewhere in the cards around here, or in the end screen, or in the description below. But there are free resources specifically to the fearful avoidant attachment style, because that really takes different things to heal than the other attachment styles. And I'm just so passionate in helping you heal this specific attachment style in the way that fits this specific attachment style. Um, and so the free resources are a beautiful way to start that. And if you really want to dive in deep, my online program, Healed and Happy, is completely focused on and specialized in the fearful avoidant attachment style, based on the over 3,000 fearful avoidants that we've helped so far. So I am so happy that you're here, as always, and I will see you in the next one.